This is Got the Fix It Guy. Today we have a Maytag laundry center that the machine is no longer spinning, and we already replaced the wax motor on the door lock assembly, and now we're going to be replacing the machine control. There's a couple of resistors on this machine control that typically burn out, and then it won't send voltage to the wax motor to lock it, and if the machine won't lock, it won't go to spin. So you actually need to replace most often the wax motor and the motor controller, or I'm sorry, the machine controller. So that's what we'll be doing today, is the machine controller. And the wax motor is actually pretty easy to replace too. Here's the machine control board. It lives just above the dryer in the upper right hand corner near the front. So I'm going to be removing the front panel and kind of loosening the top panel. First we'll have to take off this little access door here with two Phillips head screws. Get that out of the way. And then underneath the control panel there's two Torx 15 screws that we're going to be removing. And then we can get the control panel off. Of course we have it unplugged already. If you can't unplug it, you can turn off the breaker. Just confirm that there's no power. So there's these two screws, Torx 15, that are underneath the control. A little bit hard to get to. You have to use like a small screwdriver, and you have to come in, and in this case I'm coming in at a slight angle, but it's still able to get the screws off. And once you get those two off, you can pull the bottom of the control panel towards you, and then the top fasteners, top clips will let go. This machine actually comes apart pretty quick and easy. Sometimes a no spin situation can also be from an unbalanced load where something really heavy makes the tub knock around and hits one of three different switches, and that can turn off the spin. So this isn't always the case that it's the machine control or the wax motor. Sometimes you just have to reposition the load and then try it again. But if it keeps happening and you just never get spin, then I would replace the wax motor and the machine control just to be safe. So now we're going to take off these two bolts here at the top, and that's going to allow me to take off the front panel. I already zipped off two Torx 15 screws at the bottom of this panel. So I'm going to hinge it toward me, and I'm going to take a picture of how the wires are connected to the dryer door switch to make sure I get them in the right order on reassembly. So just take a quick picture, or you can write down the colors. I'm going to undo those, just pull them off, and then the bottom clips let go, and I can get that out of the way. I'm going to be removing these two bolts at the top, and these are holding on the machine control board. And then to get the board out, I've got to lift up the right corner, the right top. I don't have to take the top off, I just have to lift it up by about 3 inches to gain room to get the control board out. And to be able to do that, I need to remove this screw, or this bolt here in the front. You can do the upper or lower. The lower one's a little bit better, I think. And see, I'm just lifting up a little bit, and that's going to allow me to slide this board out. There we go. And then once I get the board out, the wires are still connected, so I'm just going to take a picture of how the wires go back in, and then I'll take those wires off. There's just a few that are spade connectors, and then the rest of them are modular connectors, and these are a little bit hard to get off, so I'm going to gently use my pliers and wiggle and lift to get them to release. You can also put a small standard head screwdriver behind the modular connector where the clip is to help the clip release. but they often break off, so I tend to just try to wiggle them off. I'm going to use some pliers to remove two little nuts that are holding the circuit board onto this frame. And then I'll move it to my right to make it let go. Or is it to the left? Let's see here. Just going to get that little nut off. There we go. That came off, and then put the new one in position. Be careful not to reinstall the old one again. So I put it in, and then I pushed it to my left to lock it in. There we go. And now I'll put those nuts on to hold it. Keep those tight. So the reason we're doing this machine control, it controls a lot of different things, but there's a few resistors that are controlling the wax motor that locks the door. And if the resistors are burned out, they don't send power to the wax motor, and the door never locks. And if it never locks, it will not go to spin. I'm just getting these tight. The owner of this machine had actually been washing some bathroom mats, so it was also a very unstable load that may have tripped the unbalanced switches, which will make it stop spinning too. So we're just getting all the wires back on. You can double check your picture to make sure that you get the spade connectors on the right places, but the big white modular connectors, they can only go in one way. Can't get them wrong. Just make sure these all sit down really tight. Get the spade connectors on there. There's also a company that sells you a kit that has their resistors that often burn out, and if you're willing to resolder them, you can save quite a bit of money. Comes with a wax motor and the resistors that you need to fix the machine board, the machine control. So you're going to put the machine control back in, and over to the right of the machine control, it has a little piece that sits down against the white frame. And then once you get that into position, you can lower the top back down, and then we're just going to put those bolts back in to hold it. I'm kind of looking at the bolt from the top. I'm making sure that I'm feeding it right into the frame that controls the machine control board. So I'm kind of watching it as I do it, and just getting these in by hand tight first. Other things that can cause a no spin are less likely is the motor control board. And usually when you change the motor and motor control board, they come as a kit now, and you change both of them at the same time. Pretty expensive, so I would always try the wax motor, number one, and then number two, the machine control board, and then it's unlikely, but it could be the motor and the motor controller. So I'm just getting all these tight again. The easiest thing though, again, is an unbalanced load where the tub just bangs around so much so that it cuts power to the motor. But then if you take those that heavy load out and then you start over, it should spin, because those switches just reset themselves. All right, now we'll put the bottom part of the front panel slide it in here first, and then we'll get the modular connectors for the spade connectors for the door switch on first. Make sure they're on tight, make sure they're in the right order. You can check the picture that you took. And then we'll go ahead and close it up. We'll put the bolts in at the top to hold it. You gotta have like a little step stool so you can get up high enough. You gotta get up a couple of feet to see what you're doing. There we go. Everything's hand tight, but now we're going to use our driver to get it all extra tight. So now we put the clips in here at the top. We just push them up in there, and then we're going to push the bottom against the frame, and we'll put in those two Torx 15 screws to hold it in. Alright, with the bottom panel on, we're going to set it to spin and press. Just takes a little bit of time, and then we'll see if it goes up to spin. So there we go, we got a nice strong spin. And here's a picture of how the wires go for the lids or the door switch, and here's what the control board looks like and how the wires go on. Hope this has been helpful to you, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thanks for watching.